A very warm welcome to the E-Racing GP Season 5 Global Edition. We've kicked off already with Copper and Bronze class. Yeah. Alex Young joined by me, Des Corkill. Been delighted to be involved in this competition once again. We're into our second year, would you believe, with the Red Bull Ring for the silver. Guys, and Alex, just very, very briefly talk us through the rules that you've implemented.
Okay, so we've just had the copper class and bronze class, which are more for the beginners on race room. And now coming to the silver class, where we really get to the top guys. Of course, gold class is coming later, where it's the real top guys. If you remember Global Edition 4, we used the DTM 2020 car. It wasn't so good for overtaking, although there were some cracking races. We've gone back to the DTM 2016 car for silver and gold. It's a little bit more racy, shall we say, and we'll see some really good racing in this Global Edition.
Haris Zephy is the defending champion in the silver edition. Obviously, you've got some new guys coming in once again, so we'll get the starting list in just a while. Red Bull Ring is your selected circuit. Reverse grid race after a 15-minute sprint race and qualification as usual. Should we just have a look at the Red Bull Ring, Alex, and remind ourselves how the track looks? A flying lap coming up with Miko Nassi.
Alright, welcome to the Red Bull Ring. It used to be called the Österreich Ring when it was originally built in 1969. And then also the A1 Ring in 1996. And the layout now is pretty much the same as it was in 1996. Except for these asphalt runoff areas all over the place. So instead of gravel and grass, they've got asphalt. And that comes into play in places like Turn 1. Here you'll notice we actually go towards the left. Gives us much wider entry into the corner and gives us more speed going onto the straight. This long straight here is great for DRS. Definitely use it if you have it. Braking here uphill for turn 2, just after the 100 meter board, and carefully getting on the power here on the exit. There's a crest there and it's a little bit bumpy, so it's super easy to light up the rear tires and even spin out there. And coming to our first downhill braking zone, turn 3 here. Again, using a lot of the road on the left-hand side on the entry, just to widen the corner for us. And patient with the throttle on the exit there as well. Now we're coming up to some of the slightly higher speed corners. Being careful of the brakes. Again, using all the road here. And then some. You probably don't want to use DRS here. The straight isn't super long. You want to save it for the start-finish straight. Turn 7. Get on the curb on the inside if you can. Patient with the throttle there for the final corner. And activate DRS again if you still have it. And that's the lap of the Red Bull Ring. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the races.
We will do, of course. Miko Nassi, I'm sure we'll be seeing him a little bit later on in the Gold Edition. For the Silver Edition, first race of the season. And Bernard Chan is an interesting guy to get on board. He's out there. He's a leader in the Bronze Edition. How difficult is it to double up, Alex?
Well, so a few of these guys, they want to get prepared. They want to move up the ranks. So Bernard has been improving. He's been racing with us in Endurance Edition and stuff, and his level's been coming up really high. He won Copper last year. He's leading Bronze now. We just saw him to have a great few couple races. And now he has to switch back to a completely different car. He can do it. He only started sim racing last year, but he's been doing a lot of driving and building up some experience super quick. So I think he'll be fine.
Voltaire Seiko is a familiar name for us, and there's a big Filipino contingent to watch on Facebook. Delighted to get your feedback, guys, on Facebook. Do keep it coming. Voltaire is a guy who we know in the Philippines Championship this time last year, Alex. He was very competitive. Hasn't quite been at that same level, I think, that we expected, although he is fastest in practice as we speak.
Yeah, the commentator, you did really well there, Des. But you're right. When he first came to E-Racing GP, he won a lot of races with us and was looking very strong. Then he kind of went a bit quiet over the last, I think, Global Edition 3, Global Edition 4. He was a bit quiet, wasn't he? A bit up and down. Still quick, but just not as consistent. So it'll be interesting to see which Seiko we have today. Will we have the quick, consistent one or the quick, not so consistent one?
And which Gav Quintos will it be? Will it be bad Gav Quintos, who regularly incurred your wrath when he first came into e-racing GP? Or would it be the more mature guy who got himself quite a few podiums towards the season end, Gav?
Yeah, he got a couple of bands, didn't he? He got a couple of race bands when he first came in. But what I love about Gav is he's always exciting to watch. He's always right on the edge, sometimes pulling off some great moves or tapping other people into spins, really, which he gets penalties for.
We've got a bit of time. The guys have still got best part of 4 minutes worth of practice. Let's, just as we're watching, Alex, let's just look through the history that we've had of e-racing GP. You started this back in March 2020, and we thought it might just be a stopgap. Tell you what, e-racing has picked up in terms of notoriety, in terms of entrance, because you're regularly filling out the 4 categories.
Yeah.
Where do you really see the sport going?
Well, there were so many young kids. I mean, you saw it, Des. So copper and bronze. I think I saw like 3 new under 10 kids. So we're seeing a lot of these youngsters, they want to be on TV, they're Formula One fans, and so this is a perfect way to learn. Because we do proper marshalling and race control and you get penalties and stuff, they learn from a very early age what it's like to go racing. So we have seen that explosion. Yes, e-racing GP is going well, but there are lots of other good championships in the region as well, coming out of Indonesia, Philippines, so see a lot of these guys, it's great. They don't just have e-racing GP, they have other championships to go and race. And of course, the best one of all, E1 Championship.
Indeed, E1 Championship is starting this week. That's something you can see live on Astro, but we also stream it live as well. You're also getting more sponsors on board. I saw Royal Selangor have made their introduction into e-racing GP. Well done on that.
Yeah, so another good thing about this year is we give you little prizes. Beautiful little pewter bits. This is for the endurance winners. The global edition winners get a slightly different trophy, and the winners are going to see, they got some nice trophies to play for.
We're filling just a little bit of time before qualifying comes in, and then the 2 reverse grid races. Red Bull Ring, it is a fabulous circuit. I'm delighted you've done it, because you've got these long sweeping straights, and then the right-handed or the right-angle corners there. That can cause such a lot of problems. And then you're going downhill as well. Yeah. Control required for the races is quite severe.
Yeah, it's a great track to start a race weekend on. Also, because if you do make a mistake, there's a lot of space for you to try and avoid cars and continue. Don't forget, damage is full for DTM cars. So if you do damage the car, you're not going to finish the race. So it's good. We'll see a lot of good racing. The long straights mean we see a lot of drafting. Don't forget, these cars have got DRS as well, drag reduction system. So if you're within a second of the car in front, you can press a button, you'll tilt your rear wing back, which then sheds downforce and, more importantly, sheds drag. So you can just go up to the other car and have a chance to overtake.
And it can make it quite dramatic as well. It means that we go down to the final lap in most races that we are involved with. Glad to see Nois O is still on board with us. Is he still based out of Japan, Nois? And he is. I think he races out of Japan, doesn't he?
Yeah, I believe he does. Another driver that's been improving quite a lot since he's been with us. Hasn't won a race yet, has he? I think
he did get a podium. He got one podium in a reverse grid race,
Yeah, he did. It just needs to find a little bit more pace, and he'll be challenging for race wins, I feel.
Another guy who's been there or thereabouts, Malaysia's Ng Jun Cheng. I've been enjoying watching him. Okay, so we're just going into the final 30 seconds or so. Voltaire Seiko is still the fastest. Couple of new names as far... Oh, no, they're all similar names, aren't they? Mark Voltaire, Elman is there. Mohammed Khalif is out there. Ryan Keith is out there. Melvin Tan, Gav Quintos, Noiso. So we've got 16 out on the start at the moment. And the gold edition to come in just a short time. Qualification about to get underway.
Yeah, let's just go to the full screen there. And like you're right, qualification is about to get underway. They're all sitting in the pit lane. They'll be getting the fuel levels right, putting on new tyres. And it's a shootout. It's a 5-minute shootout for qualifying. It is a short lap here, though, isn't it, Des? So short lap means that these guys should be able to get 2 or 3 flying laps. So that's plenty, really. That's plenty enough for qualifying. So let's see how they go.
Okay, we are underway. We're on board with Darren Evan, Singaporean based. Let's just see what kind of speed he can set. In practice, he was 3rd fastest as he comes 200 kilometers an hour, 5th gear. over the start-finish line. He will start his lap now. As you say, they've got 2 or 3 opportunities. That's a difficult start, isn't it? Coming up the hill, you've got to get it just right so you sweep down the hill onto towards the Remus curve, round the Nicky Lauda bend.
Yeah, coming now up down to what would they call turn 2, but it's actually turn 3. And Darren, purple in sector 1. A little messy turn 2 there, and he got sideways in the exit. That's not going to be a good exit. That's going to cost him a lot of lap time. But it's still early in qualifying. He's still getting into the flow. Don't quit the lap and just keep on going, I feel.
Voltaire Seiko in the Mercedes. He has gone quicker than Darren, and let's see if Voltaire is able to maintain this. Might like to keep on board with him, see how he's got his car set up. Oh, he's right on the strips there, which is just about where you want to be in this hill. It's long left-hander. It's looking good. He comes around the Worth curve. This is corner number 5. Gosh, this low shot really does tell you he's faster through sector 1 and through sector 2. This is looking very promising for Voltaire Seiko, Alex.
Yeah, looking really good for the Filipino driver. You know, he's been in silver for a couple of editions now. Maybe this is the edition where he really strikes out, wins silver, and then he can move up to gold. A good exit out the last corner. And yeah, I think this is going to be good enough for pole position. For now, though. For now.
Voltaire Seiko, he does indeed set the fastest lap time. Oh, Jung Cheng and then Nur Shazliezhan go faster. So Voltaire Seiko's reign as pole sitter lasted precisely 5 seconds. He's actually down to P4 because Nur Shazliezhan, who's about to start his second lap, posted a 1:26.109. I do need to tell you that the image on the left of Nur Shazliezhan is not Nur Shazliezhan.
You sure?
I'm assuming so. It is a big assumption, but Nur Shazliezhan in the BMW for Singapore. 1:26.109, 4th gear, hitting 200 kilometers an hour. 5th, he's looking good and looking very confident on the circuit.
Yeah, that's a good lap by him, 26.1. He has got even quicker now in sector 1, so this will be even faster lap by the Singaporean.
He was a full 10th quicker. He was 19.98 on his first lap out there, so 1/10 quicker already. That's impressive. Let's stick on board with him for sector 2. Nur Shazliezhan.
Ooh, good exit. Ooh, a bit of a wiggle there. That sideways moment there would have cost him a bit of time. Maybe a 10th or 2.
But he had a 10th or so to play with. We're approaching the marker for sector 2. This will be key. Still in there. 2/10 up on his previous time, Alex Young.
Wow, so it looks like a good drive by the Legion of Racers driver. Good exit out of there, all over the curbs and a bit more. 2 more corners to go. I think this is going to extend his lead at the front.
On board, you can see 4th gear, 5th gear coming down that hill. Has to ram down into P3 onto the final straight now. Round the Red Bull Mobile curve, and the lap has been... Oh, wow, he's taken another 10th. Lost a little bit on the last sector there, but no doubt it's a fine lap, and Gav Quintos has gone well as well. He's on P2 at the moment and is fastest through sector 1, and he's on a par with that first time that was set by Nur Shazliezhan.
Wow, there he is, Gav Quintos there in the inset there on the right. Camera's not quite, he doesn't have him quite in the center, but the lap is looking a lot better so far. Oh, sector 2 though. Lost a lot of time there, didn't he?
Oh, 7/10 down.
Yeah, he's not going to improve. Do you want to look at Seiko?
Yeah, we certainly can. Where is Voltaire? That's Mark Voltaire. Seiko dropped down to P9, and he's 8/10 down through sector 2, Alex. This has not gone particularly well. Nur Shazliezhan and Ryan Keith make it a 1-2 for Singapore. Ng Jun Cheng for Malaysia in 3. Gav Quintos currently in 4. Darren Ivan in P5. Khalif 6. Bernard Chan in P7. But Voltaire Seiko, Alex, he set an early lap time but was not able to improve on P9. That's disappointing for the Filipino, though Gav Quintos has done well. Mark Elman has got himself up into P8, and Melvin Tam makes it 4 Filipinos in the top 13.
Wow, really good lap there by Nur Shazliezhan. But yeah, I mean, we still got a bit more time, but no, we run out of time now. That's going to be finalized. They're running at the top 10. Seiko, though, it did look like a bit of a scrappy lap when we watched it earlier on. So not surprised to see him drop back quite a bit. But yeah, no, he's not going to be very, very happy with that at all.
So Nur Shazliezhan will be on pole position. He picked up 5 points for fastest in qualification, 4 for second, 3, 2 and 1. So at the moment, he's the championship leader with all the races still to go. But you'd rather be leading than in second place.
Yes, exactly. That's right. Good job by him. Like I said, Shazliezhan will be in gold class later as well. He asked for an exemption and we gave it to him. But we are at the Red Bull Ring. Look at the temperatures. Air track there, it's in the 20s. Perfect, really. And no wind as well.
Race 1 of a 5-round season. The red lights are about to go off. And when we do, Nur Shazliezhan on the right of the screen is the man we will keep an eye on. This is race 1 of season 5 ERGP. Somebody has spun out. Mark Elman got it completely wrong. And he's taken out Voltaire Seiko. One Filipino on another. What a disastrous start for them. But at the front, Nur Shazliezhan has got away very nicely. Ryan Keith is the moment in P4. And he's looking backwards on Darren Ivan. And he's looking... that's Gav Quintos in front of him. But at the front, it's Nur Shazliezhan who's got away nice and neat and tidy, although he's under pressure there from Ng Jun Cheng.
Yeah, good start by him. Just perfect. But yes, Jung Cheng there in position 2. He'd be very happy with that. Gav Quintos there in P3. He's got Ryan Keith all over the back of him as well. The top 2 do look pretty stable right now. But look at that. Ryan Keith in the blue car running a little bit wide there at turn 3. But they're all shuffling through. Other than that start line melee, pretty much everyone getting through these first few corners unscathed.
Mercedes 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. The first of the BMWs belongs to Bernard Chan, who is doubling up today. He's the championship leader in the bronze category, and he's straight back into the saddle and is second now. Nur Shazliezhan under pressure. Jung Cheng has a little look on the outside. How easy is it to overtake on this circuit, Alex?
Oh, very easy. But, you know, it's all about racing in the peloton. You know, you always want to keep within a second of the car in front. So it's really good for the front 2 to pull away like this, because maybe they can use DRS together to try and pull a gap from the rest. Gav Quintos in third position really wants to try and close that gap. Oh, but Jun Cheng there making a big mistake. And that's allowing Shazliezhan to just pull away at the front.
The front 2 were more than a second clear of Gav Quintos in P3 as they came through at the end of lap 1. So it's Nur Shazliezhan leading the way. Second place in the black Mercedes is Ng Jun Cheng. Ryan Keith from Singapore in P3.
Just wanted to show this angle. You see the rear wing. He's using the DRS, so the rear wing is tilted back, and that's going to give him some speed down the straight. And then it comes to the braking, it comes back forward.
So there is the value of the DRS, the differential. Tell you what, they've got 1.5 seconds. Jun over Ryan Keith, and so that's not looking good for Ryan Keith at the moment, because he won't be able to implement the DRS, and the racers behind him will be able to do if he is unable to close that gap. So Ryan Keith currently in P3, but will find himself under intense pressure at the end of this lap as he implements DRS there.
It's not a good place to implement DRS. I would have saved it for the start-finish straight. But he's worried, I guess, about losing gap to the front 2, and he should be worried because the front 2 are out of DRS zone right now, and it's going to be really hard for Ryan Keith to catch up back into the lead battle.
As we go through into the start of lap 3, Nur Shazliezhan leads from Ng Jun Cheng. Ryan Keith in P3. I just want to drop down to Nois O. He had made a reasonable start, the Japanese, but he's down in P16 now. He's clearly spun off. Melvin Tan is out of the game. Voltaire Seiko, he was blocked off by Mark Elman on the very start, and he's dropped down to P13. So hopes for Voltaire Seiko of improving have gone down as Bernard Chan spins out. Bernard Chan spins down into P15. We're back now with the race leaders and a move by Ng Jun Cheng. Alex Young.
Jun Cheng looks to the outside, tries out break Shazliezhan, but Shazliezhan holds on and stays in the lead for now.
But there is how close it is. This is a good battle, and these guys have got nearly 2 seconds over Darren Ivan and Ryan Keith, who has indeed lost P3. We're only 4 minutes into this race, but 15-minute sprint races, they soon disappear. Nur Shazliezhan has the lead. It's quite a gap there. Ryan Keith has got himself back into P3, but those in P3, 4 and 5, Alex, are losing ground on the front two.
Yeah, the front two are definitely going away. Shazliezhan's doing a really good job. Fastest lap of the race, 26.3 on the previous lap without DRS. So he's at the moment he has a lot more pace over everyone else. And you're right, the guys in 3, 4, and 5, Keith, Darren Ivan, and Gav Quintos are just dropping back from the front two.
That is the view of Ryan Keith as he comes up the hill at the start of lap number 4. Doesn't quite get that right and disappearing over the camber. That's a great shot just to show you the terrain that they face here in Austria. As in front, Nur Shazliezhan has lost P1 and Ng Jun Cheng has taken that opportunity, Alex, to take the lead for the first time.
Yeah, and now Jung Cheng's got DRS as he comes out of this corner, but Shazliezhan's close enough to take DRS. This is the two of them. Shazliezhan's been quite smart here. He let Jung Cheng just get through so that they can work together and use the DRS to try and break the gap to the top 3, which they already have. And Keith there, going down the inside. Now, that's not smart driving by Keith. No, see, Ryan Keith's fighting tooth and nail with these guys when he doesn't have DRS. So there's no chance for these guys now to catch front two. Keith should have just let Quintos through and just followed in and just used DRS the next lap. But because he's fighting tooth and nail, that's no way these three are going to be able to get into the fight for the lead now.
We're just 5.5 minutes through race 1 of a 10-race season. E-Racing GP Silver Edition. Ryan Keith in the blue car, but the Singaporean is in P3. Mind you, Alex, you were critical of him, but having got past Gav Quintos and Darren Ivan, he's been able to pull away. What's he pulled away? Over half a second on the two there, but DRS will just come into play and Quintos will be able to close that gap.
Yeah, it's not enough. And now the Keith doesn't have DRS, so he can't close the gap to the front two. It would have been better to just follow Quintos across the line, use the DRS and try and get up to the front two, because the front two are just way too quick now. So if Keith is smart, he'll just slot in behind Quintos and just follow him through for the rest of the lap, because Quintos will have DRS and then Keith will have DRS the next lap. But Quintos makes a mistake, and of course Ryan's not going to wait around if the car makes a mistake.
Well, these three are ruining their own chances, you suspect. Up at the front, Nur Shazliezhan and Ng Jun Cheng. A mistake there from Ng Jun Cheng. He got that wrong. Maybe he was just eased out a little bit by Nur Shazliezhan, but it was Nur Shazliezhan's line, and Shazliezhan may well be able to pull away, Alex.
Yeah.
And then if he can implement DRS, he could dominate this race from here.
Yeah, so Shazliezhan really in good position now because he's got DRS. There it is. He's using DRS now. He's going to break the 1 second gap to Jung Cheng. So Shazliezhan has to put the hammer down. It's hammer time now. If he can just put the hammer down and have a perfect next couple corners, he's going to break that second gap, and this could be his race win.
The differential is over a second. Only just, it's coming under a second. That is going to be so close. Over a second as they cross the start-finish line. Oh, it's 0.04 of a second. I'd love to see whether or not he has broken the DRS, Alex. That's a big call.
He has broken the DRS, and look at that, because Jung Cheng there, you can see his DRS has not been used, and so that's it. He's going to drop even further back there. Look at that. Gav Quintos, Ryan Keith, and of course Darren Ivan fighting it tooth and nail.
It's a good battle in its own right. It's well worth watching, but in the bigger scheme of things, perhaps they are just battling for the minor placings. And Mohammed Khalif behind them has been in isolation in P6, not able to really make much of a headway on Quintos, Keith and Darren Ivan in front of him, but well ahead of Marv Dondekembe in P7.
Yeah, Khalif there, no man's land. If he's hoping the guys in front of him can just fight a bit more so he can get within DRS range and then join the fight with the three in front.
Looking backwards there as Mohammed Khalif, he's the man currently in P6. just before we go back onto the front two, who have got quite a gapper. Also involved, we've got Wei Xiong, who's currently in P8. He's in the Audi, 2 Audis, Marv Donderkembe in P7, Wei Xiong in P8. And a new name for me anyway, John Harding from Australia. He's 16 seconds down on the race leader, 4 seconds down on P8, Wei Xiong. Great to get the Aussies, more Aussies involved, Alex.
Yeah, it's good to see him there in the Shell BMW. And who's that behind? That's Seiko behind him, also trying to recover after not such a good start. Seiko there, Filipino driver. There he is, Next Level Racing Sim. Top 10, that's not where he wants to be.
But it's a good recovery because he was down in P16 at one time, Voltaire Seiko, so at least he'll find himself up in the points, and the DRS is on for Voltaire Seiko. Let's just stay on board with him as he's about to go past John Harding, and he's now up into P9. Good manoeuvre by Voltaire Seiko, but Wei Xiong is a long, long way ahead of him in P8. Back up to the front. And Nur Shazliezhan, Alex, has pulled a big gap over Ng Jun Cheng.
Yeah, so Shazliezhan is too good a driver not to let this chance go wasting. You know, he knew he could have had a chance to pull the gap, and he did it beautifully. And Jung Cheng just has no answer at the moment, and Shazliezhan's going to win this at a canter.
Interesting, that battle for P3 as well. It looks like Ryan Keith has managed to pull away just a little bit of a gap over Quintos. I speak too soon because Quintos gets very, very close then onto the rear end of Ryan Keith, and the DRS is in. Is that just to stay close to Ryan Keith or to try to make a maneuver? Looks on the inside, but no way there.
Yeah, no way there. I think you might try and get him across the start-finish line. But really, they need to try and work together because, Jung Cheng is in striking distance. If they work together, one car leads one lap and uses DRS, and the other car leads the next lap and uses DRS, they'll soon close down that gap to Jung Cheng.
Yeah, there you are. That's what Jung Cheng has got looking back. It was at one stage over 3 seconds, the differential. It's now down to what's that, 1.8 between Ng Jun Cheng and Ryan Keith. So P2 vulnerable, and Jung Cheng had been looking forward. Now he's got to look backwards instead.
Yeah, he has to. I think he's going to have to settle for P2. 2.3 seconds behind the leader now. But Jun Cheng in the black car, he'll be looking in the mirrors and go, right, okay, I just need to be consistent. Don't make any mistakes. And I should be able to hold on for P2.
3 minutes to go, 1:26. We might, we probably got this lap plus 2 others. So there's still quite a bit of time for the men behind Ryan Keith, Gav Quintos, etc. to make their move. That's Quintos in the pink trying to go round the outside of Ryan Keith. He has got DRS as Gav Quintos, and this might be with the time he makes a manoeuvre on Ryan Keith. Down that long straight after Niki Lauda curve coming towards Remus, and then this sharp right-hander. Spectacular, and into P3 indeed does go Gav Quintos.
Yeah,
but he's caught.
Keith is driving not intelligently at the moment, if you ask me. He's defending the position. Why is he defending the position? I would just let Gav Quintos through, and then he would have DRS the next lap, and then he could close the gap to Jun Cheng, and then he could take P2. Because I think Keith has the pace to take P2 from Jun Cheng. But this defending is not smart at all. There's no way. So Jun Cheng's in the clear right now, and he's definitely going to take P2.
So a Singaporean doing a Malaysian a favour to stop the Filipino. It's a good battle in its own right, to be fair. Quintos and Ryan Keith. Darren Evan has been dropped, and Mohammed Khalif not being able to make any kind of an impact on it. 1:49 to go. There will be 2 more laps. This is Gav Quintos coming up the hill. Tries to go round the outside of Ryan Keith. More contact between the Singaporean and the Filipino. It's like a cage fight between these two.
Yeah, they're still squabbling. So I think, this is going to be a good fight between the two of them. Front two are going ahead of them. So Quintos is in front now. But Ryan Keith will have DRS on next lap, and Keith is looking quite quick. He just needs to make sure he sticks within the 1 second before the end of this lap, because if he makes a mistake and drops back, then that could be game over for Keith.
We will keep an eye on that in a moment, but this is your runaway race leader. 3.3 seconds for Nur Shazliezhan. This is quite remarkable. Certainly on this circuit where there's a lot of sprinting. I was expecting it to be very, very close, but Nur Shazliezhan is waltzing away with this, and he did the damage on lap 5 when he broke the DRS.
Yeah, he did. Really was a good move by Shazliezhan. Yeah, so one more lap after this, driving superbly, just really enjoying watching him drive as he takes the Mercedes through the last 2 corners.
Now then, it's now a 3-way battle for P3 because Darren Ivan has got himself close as the squabble between Quintos and Ryan Keith has developed into a full cage fight. Darren Ivan has said, I fancy a bit of that, and Darren Ivan uses DRS to move alongside Ryan Keith. Does he get in front of him? He's got the corner, he's got the right angle, and Darren Ivan will move up into P4.
And I don't think Keith was close enough to Quintos when they went over the line. So I'm not sure. Well, no, I think they have got DRS, but Quintos just kept it clean. And he's got a nice gap. He's got one more lap to go. Can he hold on to P3?
But look at that though. Mercedes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. The BMWs of Harding, Bernard, Chan and Voltaire have all dropped down. The Audis of Don Dikembe and Wei Seong in P8. Let's go back up to the race leader, Alex Younger. We ought to give him some attention because this is a fabulous way to start a season, a dominant way to start a season, a near 5-second lead.
Yeah, what a race. I mean, perfectly executed, really. And the Singaporean will be very happy with that. It comes to the last couple corners. He'll now be, I mean, such is his advantage right now, he'll probably be thinking about the second race. He'll be thinking about, okay, I got a reverse race coming after this. What am I going to do there? But he'll be surprised how easy it was, really. The others behind him really squabbling made it easy for the Singaporean.
I can tell you that Mohammed Khalif has got himself ahead of Ryan Keith, but the race winner, emphatically, Nur Shazliezhan. Ng Jun Cheng in P2, Gav Quintos in 3, Darren Ivan 4, Khalif ahead of Ryan Keith, who's also lost ground to Marv Don Dikembe. So Ryan Keith, Alex Young, has had a disastrous time. He will cross in P7, having thought he was set up for P3.
Yeah, so it's such a shame, because I think Keith would have finished P2 if he just played this race a bit differently. In the end, he goes down to P7. However, there is still one more race to come, and P7's not a... top 12 will be reversed, so that means he will start, sort of 8th position, which is not bad. He can still win race 2 if he has a good couple laps.
It wouldn't be tactical, would it? No, it wouldn't be tactical. You obviously try to get as good a position as you possibly can.
Yeah.
The point score is down to P15. Noah So picking one. It was poor old Melvin Tam on his debut, who was pointless in the starting 16. So, nice race to get us underway.
This will be the man that's on pole, though. Voltaire Elman. That car looks a bit second-hand, doesn't it, Des? He'll have to get back to the pits. Luckily, due to the power of this game, you can get a brand new car, and he will start on pole position for race 2.
Well, it was Mark Voltaire Elman who crashed at the very start, and it was him who blocked off Voltaire Seiko. So a Filipino squabble right at the very start. Voltaire Seiko did well to get up into 9th place because at one stage he was way down. But as you say, Mark Voltaire Elman will be the man on pole position. But the victory in race 1 of season 5, round 1, goes to Singapore's Nur Shazliezhan, and he's done it in dominant style. Best lap of 1:26.394. He'll also pick the 2 bonus points up for that. Ng Jun Cheng in 2nd. Gav Quintos it is for the Philippines in 3rd. And Darren Ivan, a very, very handy P4. So they've got a minute just to sort themselves out in the reverse grid race, and I don't think we've seen such a dominant race 1 performance in the previous 4 editions of ERGP.
Yeah, it really was a good race, really, wasn't it? I think I know a few of the drivers had the game crash just before this race. So a few of them weren't able to get into the race. Unfortunate, but this will probably be the race he dropped points for. But that did make it easy for Shazliezhan. But yeah, just drove perfectly. When Jung Cheng made that small mistake, he was just able to break the gap, and away we go.
So race number 2 is about to get underway. It is a reverse grid race. The red lights are on. When they disappear, we'll be on board with Mark Voltaire Elman. And Mark Voltaire Elman this time gets off to a fine start. As he looks behind him, though, he's under pressure from John Harding and Bernard Chan. But for once, Mark Voltaire Elman will lead. But there's more contact. And that's Bernard Chan spinning out. And he's also, I think, taken with him Ryan Keith. Oh, Bernard Chan, what a disappointing way to get underway in race number 2 in the BMW.
Well, the bronze class winner is maybe still not quite ready for silver class. I know he hasn't had much chance to practice with these DTM cars, so he has been a bit light on practice, but it'd be a good learning experience for him.
Well, what a contrast into race number 1, Mark Voltaire Elman. He span out literally on the start line and he took Voltaire Seiko with him. And those two are 1-2 as they come into the midway point round the Remus curve here at the Red Bull Ring in Austria. So, tell you what, one sprint race can be very, very different to the next, Alex.
Yeah, it is. And look at that. Elman has a great start, 1.6 seconds in front of Seiko. And so he's going to be free of DRS as they start lap 2.
We know he's fast in throughout the ERGP seasons 1 through 4. He has been very, very quick, the Filipino, and he's dragging along Seiko. Wei Xiong has got himself into P3 as well, and John Harding in P4. There's John Harding in the BMW in the orange and white, under pressure from the Red Bull Marv Dondekembe and Gav Quintos from the Philippines after a decent result in race number 1. Gav Quintos in P6 here, closely shadowed by Nur Shazliezhan.
Yeah, Nur Shazliezhan in P7. That's a good start for him. He did start P12, let's not forget. So, wow, he'll fancy his chances of getting onto the podium.
And he's got himself very nicely there. The DRS, that's Gav Quintos in his sights. Goes around the outside, can't get through. Quintos tries to get inside Harding, and they both spin. And Nur Shazliezhan is caught up in all the problems, and Nur Shazliezhan will drop down quite significantly indeed, right to the very back, and we are on board with him, and so bang goes that good start.
Oh, such a shame for race 1 winner. He was really keeping it out of trouble. Quintos, though, outbraked himself and tapped another car into a spin, and then just took Shazliezhan out.
So Gav Quintos resumes his bad boy image, but Mark Voltaire Elman 2 seconds clear of Wei Xiong, who's got himself ahead of Voltaire Seiko in P2. A 2-second lead in lap 2. That is, again, kind of unusual. And let's see if Wei Xiong is able to make any headway. Yeah. He's looking behind him, though, because Voltaire Seiko and Marv Dondekembe are close in on the Malaysian.
Oh, it's really good to see Wei Xiong up there. We haven't seen him up at the front for a while. He's always firmly getting involved in mid-pack battles and being on the receiving end of a little bit of bad luck over the last couple of seasons. So nice to see him back up into P2.
And looking very composed as well. He's being chased not too aggressively by Voltaire Seiko, but he's 2.5 seconds down on this man, the race leader, Mark Voltaire Elman. We'll go back to Wei Xiong, because I think Wei Xiong is involved in a little bit of an altercation. Voltaire Seiko is then bashed out of the way, and Wei Xiong says, "I'm the boss here, mate." Looks guilty.
Yeah.
He does look guilty, doesn't
he? He does look a little bit guilty. Oh, these guys, it's going to be a duplicate of race 1, where we've got the guys fighting over each other and allows the leader to go, oh, Wei Xiong has a moment. Let's see if he can get back on track. These DTM cars are a little bit tricky to drive. But, is there any damage? That is the key question.
Well, he's now got a problem. We're on board with him. Little shake of the head. Tells you that he thought he'd got out of danger, but then he took on Marv Dondekembe, and Marv, the Indonesian, just brushed him aside. Audi versus Audi, but no manufacturer love between those two. Well, now Wei Xiong finds himself under pressure from Ng Jun Cheng, who's got himself up right the way up into the top 4 once again. And Ng Jun Cheng got a P2 in race number 1. Looking good. Potential championship leader, Alex.
Wow, yeah, you're right. Jung Cheng has been kept out of trouble, kept out of our sights. And it's a great job for him to be up to P3 now. If he can finish on the podium for this race, yeah, I think that'll put him into the championship lead. Although he does run wide there, that's going to cost him quite a bit of time. And Keith doing a good job to get alongside him. That small mistake by Jung Cheng is now allowing Keith in the blue Mercedes to out-drag him and come down the inside. And he's going to take the position. Oh, he's going to take the position of Wei Xiong as well as they go together. Oh, I thought that was going to come together in a nasty way, but they all survive for now.
That is very close, though. We're on board with Ng Jun Cheng, who lost that position to Ryan Keith, who you were very critical of in the first race. You thought that he lost opportunities to perhaps get up not only a podium, but even P2. In the end, he finished down in P7. Currently, the man in blue is in P4 and driving a little bit more conservatively, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, because we know how quick Keith can be. Keith can be stunningly quick on his day. It just needs to be a little bit smarter with how they use the DRS. You know, like Wei Xiong also was a bit too defensive on the lap before and almost got taken out by Seiko. In the end, it worked out well for Wei Xiong because he didn't spin, but he easily could have. So when you got DRS like this, you guys got to work together in a train to try and pull the gaps from other people and try and close on the car in front. When you start defending like Wei Xiong's defending now, you're just going to lose time, and it's going to allow the other cars in front of you to disappear. But more importantly, it's going to allow the cars behind you to catch up.
Keith in the blue goes ahead of Wei Xiong, and Ng Jun Cheng is just behind them. So this is a three-way scrap for P3, which is a repeat exactly of what we saw in race number 1, where there was a runaway race leader, and that's the man today who's the runaway race leader, Mark Voltaire Elman. He was 12th in race 1, runaway leader here in race 2, Alex, and driving very nicely.
Yeah, he is. He's just keeping it really clean. He hasn't got the fastest lap of the race. That goes to Mark
Dondekambe.
That's how you pronounce it. In P2. So there's a chance that Marv might be able to close the gap down to Elman.
2.6 seconds the lead. Let's just have a look at Marv Dondekambe, see what he's able to do. Since he was able to brush aside Wei Xiong, he's happily got himself in P2. Just stay out of trouble. He's 3.5 seconds clear of the P3 battle, which at the moment involves Ryan Keith, Ng Jun Cheng, Darren Ivans in there, Wei Xiong and Noah So has joined the back of that 5-man train.
Yeah. Keith, though, up to P3. He doesn't have DRS for this next lap. So now, it'd be nice if him and Jung Cheng could work together to try and see if they can close down the gap to Donkambe. They need to use the DRS. Let's see. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's going to be a great fight it's a 5-way fight for position 3.
Smashing stuff as you saw Dondekambe go through. He's up and through corner number 1. Ryan Keith is still battling on. Behind them, Nois O has a look on the outside of Wei Xiong, who was looking very good at one stage, has dropped off. That is Darren Ivan trying to get through. Ryan Keith still defends. Gosh, he is a cussed fellow, isn't he, Ryan Keith?
I would love to know the meaning of cussed.
Awkward. Now then, somebody's dropped off the pace. So Darren Ivan's dropped out. Nur Shazliezhan is up there. Wei Xiong has dropped out, Alex. Wei Xiong has had a moment.
Such a shame. He was doing so well. He must have had a spin. He looks cool and composed, but he'll be fuming inside.
In front of him, Khalif, Bernard Chan, Nur Shazliezhan got himself up into P7. Noah So in P5. This is the battle for P3. And again, Ryan Keith, the man in blue, is very, very heavily involved. Ng Jun Cheng is able to operate the DRS, but he's 6 seconds down on Marv Dondekambe. This is the battle for P3. We'll return to P1 in a moment, but this is the real battle.
Yeah, it's a good battle. Here we go. Ooh, Keith just nails that last corner nicely. He's going to have DRS on this next lap. And he'll want to try and use the DRS carefully. He'll want to try and get Jun Cheng on this next straight so that he can use DRS 2 more times to try and extend that gap and maybe break the DRS to Jung Cheng and maybe get a little bit closer to the car in front.
There, exactly as you called it. He's used it on that long straight as they come round this little kink that isn't genuinely called a corner. But then they move into Remus, the right-hander. He's quite a long way behind Marv Dondekambe, 3 seconds. You could see the front two disappearing into the distance. Nois O is the man at the back of that shot, Alex. The Japanese got himself up into P5.
Oh, nice job by the Japanese. He's looking quite strong as well. No one behind him as well. Well, actually there is someone behind him. Nur Shazliezhan is right behind him, so maybe he's going to start coming under pressure from the race 1 winner.
Well, there's 5 minutes left to see if the Japanese-based Nois O is able to just hold off Nur Shazliezhan. Nur Shazliezhan picked up 27 points in race 1, plus the 5 for fastest qualification. So he's on 32, plus whatever he gets here. Ng Jun Cheng, P2 in race 2, and competing here now for P3. So Nur Shazliezhan is on 20 points and looking to try to get up to 36 if he can get the 16 for P3.
Wow, so Ryan Keith, very messy last corner. Jung Cheng will not want to see that because he'll want Ryan Keith to have a nice clean corner because it ends up holding him up. Because now he'll have DRS, he'll probably try and make the move on Keith down this straight. And it is allowing them, see, at least they're not squabbling too much. They're using DRS. This is how it should be done. They're using DRS together, and they are closing the gap down to Don de Convey.
They are closer. That's only 1.5 seconds. It was 3 seconds, and there's still 4 minutes left, which is definitely 3, possibly 4 laps.
Yep, so it's good. Finally, the drivers are working together. They've been smart about it. So now Keith just has to make sure he doesn't make a mistake because he doesn't want to drop outside of the 1 second. And the two of them will probably inch up to Don de Convey by the next lap.
There is Marv Don de Convey as he looks backwards in the Audi. At one stage, he was nicely secure. He was 3.5 seconds clear of Ng Jun Cheng and Ryan Keith. But now you can see that differential is it's under a second now. It is under a second. That is terrific joint work from Ng Jun Cheng and Ryan Keith. It's a causeway collaboration.
A causeway collaboration. Very nice indeed. And Keith is within a second as well. So this is now going to become a 3-way fight for second position. That's good stuff.
And they're close enough. Are they close enough for DRS? I think they are. So Don de Convey, he's been clawed in. He's been hauled back in. 3 minutes. I tell you what, there's still 3 laps, Alex. Still 3 laps. That's a long time for Don de Convey to try and hold on. Maybe he just tries to play the waiting game and make sure he has DRS going into the final lap. He defends on the first corner but loses P2 to Ng Jun Cheng, who is now on for a double P2 if he can carry this form on for the next 2 3/4 laps.
Yeah, now Keith is going to follow him through because he has DRS as well. So Don de Convey now drops from P2 to P4. He mustn't panic though because he will have DRS this next lap. Mustn't panic and try and overtake straight away because then he'll make a mistake and then he'll drop out of the DRS zone. So he just needs to keep it nice and clean and stick close to Keith.
They're too far behind Mark Voltaire Elman, aren't they? Because for the first time in a long time, the gap dropped below 3 seconds. Maybe if there were 3 laps to go, perhaps Mark Voltaire Elman would be catchable, but that's too far ahead, isn't it?
Yeah, right. I would say so, but now I'm not so sure. You know, we've been in these situations before when we say the race is done and dusted, and suddenly someone comes from nowhere.
So he comes through here with 2 laps to go. Alex Young, look at that. That gap was 3.3 seconds 1 lap ago. It's 2.3 seconds with 2 laps still to race.
Yeah, you know, they can do it if they work together. If Jung Cheng decides to defend against Keith now, Keith has got the DRS. If he defends against Keith in the blue car and they lose time, then they're not going to be able to do it. But if he just lets him by and then Jung Cheng will have the DRS on the last lap, it'll be fine. So if I was Jung Cheng, I would do nice and easy and hope that Keith gets a good exit so that he can get overtaken on this straight.
Well, this is the moment that we are looking at. Ng Jun Cheng is the man in blue. That gap is still 2.3 seconds, which is good news for Philippines' Mark Voltaire Elman. Ryan Keith hasn't been able to get back because, Alex, it does look like Ng Jun Cheng is defending.
Yeah. So I with 1.5 laps to go, I'm going to stick my neck out and say that Elman's got this race sewn up. But this battle for second position between these two cars, that's going to go right to the line.
Got to feel a little bit for Marv Don de Convey. He was hauled in over 3 seconds, has now been dropped He is just 1.5 seconds clear of Nur Shazliezhan, who's going to pick himself up at least 11 points for P5. So that's going to be a very, very healthy weekend for Nur Shazliezhan, a 43-point opening weekend at least.
Yeah, and he's going to get the fastest lap as well, I think. So another 2 points there for the Singaporean.
Okay, right. So that's the battle for P2. Ryan Keith just keeping his powder dry. We are now definitely on to the final lap, and Ryan Keith has got Ng Jun Cheng in his sights. This is cleverer from Ryan Keith, and the boy in blue just pulls out, implements the DRS, takes the lead. He's now in P2, and that is much more sensible from Ryan Keith.
Yeah, that's a great, well done, perfect P2, so perfect T2 as well. He got T2 just right, and he's got the DRS now, and he's going to pull away from Jung Cheng, and Jung Cheng can do nothing about it.
All the while, he is closing in on Mark Voltaire Elman. It's just under 2 seconds for the very first time. Too little, too late, you feel, unless Voltaire Elman inexplicably feels the pressure. But that's the man for P2. There's our race leader, Mark Voltaire Elman in the BMW for the Philippines. Skating away, but it's only in 1.5 seconds. It's not as secure as he thought it would have been.
Yeah, it is, but it's only got 2 more corners to go. And Elman's going to be there. But there's a great battle going for P4 as well, just behind these guys. We'll have to go back to that in a sec. Look at that. Do Gumvey and Ivan and Shazliezhan, they're all right there.
We'll return to that in a moment, but the race win is going to go to Mark Voltaire Elman ahead of Ryan Keith and Jun Cheng, and Darren Ivan has got himself into P4, and poor old Don Dikembe moves from P2 to P6 in the final 2 laps. Nur Shazliezhan takes P5. So a nightmare finish for Mark Dom Dikembe, but a terrific race number 2, reverse grid race for Mark Voltaire Elman in the BMW, Alex Young.
Wow, yeah, really well done. I think he has won a race with the ERGP before, but it has not been for a while. So well done to the Philippines driver. Great job there. And it's his first win in Global Edition 5.
So he will pick up 25 points. Fastest lap in race 2. I think you are right. Is it Nur Shazliezhan?
Yeah,
he had a 1:26.4, 1:26.8 from Ng Jun Cheng, 1:26.4. So that is a very, very good weekend for Nur Shazliezhan. He will be leading the overall championship at the end of round 1.
Yeah, that is very good. We're just going to wait for the results to come out just to confirm, as we see some of the drivers now coming through. Oh, oof, does they go to space, really?
They do. Come out, chaps, come out. Wei Xiong, he's in space. We're all in space. Global Edition.
Well, I think we just come back to us then, shall we?
Yes, although that's more fun. Take the glasses off and, a real mixed bag for Mark Voltaire Elman. Span on the start line in race number 1. Recovered to get P12, but a convincing victory in race 2, Alex.
Yeah, very much so. Did everything right. We had a great battle for the lower podium positions. Some inexperienced driving we saw in the silver class. Normally we see not that many mistakes. But while these drivers are at very high level, they are still a lot of young drivers, and they do sometimes show some of the inexperience.
We've got confirmation of the results. Ryan Keith P2, Ng Jun Cheng in 3, Darren in 4, Nur Shazliezhan a P5 to add to his race 1. Also 2 fastest laps and fastest qualification. Nur Shazliezhan, he's taken advantage of some of his perhaps more experienced racers not being able to get into the game today. He's taken full advantage of that at the Red Bull Ring.
Yep. And but that's it. That's silver. We'll come back to you with the championship positions. It's going to be very close between Jun Cheng and Shazliezhan. And there are 4 more rounds to go, so a lot more fun to have as well.
Indeed. Coming up after the break, we are going for gold. This is E-Racing GP Global Edition Season 5.
Pewter is about possibilities. It is an idea made real. Crafted with precision It can make tradition timeless. Pewter evolves. When allowed to be free, it can captivate you. Pewter is our legacy, and we're keeping the legacy alive. Royal Selangor, since 1885.
Things to be aware of organizing e-racing championship without race room. First, no automated leaderboard would always be labor intensive. Elimination round would be the only way to filter the winners. Having the participants adhering to the schedule would be a huge test. We need to know the task will get bigger when participants increases. Time consuming. Organizing e-racing championship without race room, it's all need run manually to take down the participants and eliminate them from first round group to final round group. Because it is manual human labor, there bound to be human error. Manual human labor would have a price tag for the man-hours involved. New participants would never have chance. The e-racing clubs in the world will send their best racers to participate the race. But that means your championship exposure is just limited to the e-racing clubs. Why choose race room? Our 3E official championship have fully automated leaderboard. Participants can log in anytime to leave the fastest lap time within the qualifying period. Each of the racers already have their ranks with race room. Next, save time. You can have unlimited amounts of participants in a super short time to qualifying them to final race. Race room can cover unlimited amount of participants. We have a full automated esports ecosystem from qualifying leaderboard to broadcast AI. Besides, race room's free contents lets everyone can participate to the race.